In this video, I will show you how to create a search component that works based off the user's first name. If I am to type an M, you can see that anything that has an M in the first name is going to appear. If I continue to type, it's going to remove all of the inappropriate items based off of the first name search. Let me show you the code. Once again, we have the app.js file. I'll get to that in just a moment, but we did create a search list in a search input component. I did create two components, one for the input and one for the list. On the input search component, it is a simple constant variable. I gave it a name of search input. I'm going to pass through some props. On the method of onChange, you can also do onKeyUp, and that would work as well. I went ahead and did an onChange here. I'm going to pass through the property of search students. I'm also going to pass through the property of placeholder so that I can update that later on the parent component. On the search list itself, we have here an empty list, pretty much just for placeholders. I did make this a class, but you would want to continue to make this an actual constant variable and then pass through props. So in your code, you'll want to go ahead and update that component. Here I have a list item with a key. I'm going to bring through the names of fname, lname, phone number, and degree. And this is going to come through an array that I create on the parent component. The parent component obviously will be the app.js file. So let's take a look at that. Here I wrote a function in order to pass through a filter method to filter through some items. Let me show you the class first. Here we have the main class of app. In the state, I'm going to pass through a list of 3 students. I have one of Chris, Hammond, and Marcus, and they have IDs that are separate as well. Down below, I have the area that's going to allow me to get the value that the user types in. So when the user is typing, it will run this function here. We need to declare some items in order to get the list to display in the JSX code. Let's take a look at the JS code real quick. We have a div. Within the div, we're putting the component that we created earlier of search input. That would be the input list itself. We need to go ahead and link that to the component. In order to do that, we need to use the keyword of this, search students, which is coming from the component itself. And then I'm going to use search students to write the function above. Next, we'll have a UL that's going to push through a variable name that we created in the render. Will be pretty much like the list that we've done before with the adding. We will set up a variable called search in order to set that equal to the state. I'm going to set that equal to this.state.students.filter. This is going to filter through the student array. We're then going to call a function that we wrote above to filter it out based off of the first name. Next, we're going to map through the list using the key in the student. We're going to return the search list, which we created, for the student information. If everything comes through correctly, we can use this variable down below in order to place it within the UL tag. Let's take a look at the function that I wrote to search through the list names of the first name. I created a function called searchMe. I'm going to run a search. In here, I'm going to call it first name because that's what I'm going to grab. If I'm grabbing the last name or the phone number, I would search using that. So I'm just going to say search first name. We're going to use something called includes, which includes is basically a way that we are going to include one string within another and then return true or false if it's appropriate. Here, this line of code, return search first name fname. This is coming from the array itself. I want to convert this to lowercase and include the search to lowercase, or the search is not available to make the functionality work with the filter. There are plenty of different ways that you can write this. It is up to you to decide the best way to write your search function and turn that in on your assignment. I will not count off if you want to search for an item based off of the first, last, or phone number. It is completely up to you.